Are we live? Okay, cool. You want to come take a seat?
Me?
You're our guest. You're our guest.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, damn.
We got 30 minutes.
That's not nice.
Hey, it is what it is.
Fucked up.
Yeah. All
Yay!
right. Welcome to the One Harvest Podcast. Myself, Aaron, Kyle, and now Ian
Oh my
are the
God.
hosts. Welcome, Ian.
Welcome, Ian.
Yeah, don't stress, man. Don't stress.
Stress.
You know,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm not like a person.
You know, I want.
I'm a bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm happy to be here.
Oh, grateful.
Yeah.
So I wanted you on the show just because you just attended Hall of Flowers.
I did, yeah.
See,
And I wanted to
this.
speak about this. And Erin knows so much because she did all her homework on Hall of Flowers.
You know what?
But yeah, so how was it? You went down to LA, you checked everything out.
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of these industry week conventions because it's as somebody who's involved in the industry and it's always and who's in sales. Obviously, I'm forward facing. I'm having to like network and talk to people, but it's always interesting to see, especially because NorCal does have like we are locked in on growing quality flower. Obviously,
Yep.
that is our reputation.
Mm-hmm.
But from an industry perspective, a majority of, I guess, the commerce does come from Southern California because that's where a majority of the population is from. So from a numbers perspective, and Aaron, you can touch on this too because you have so much experience from like COGS and numbers and
Yeah.
and it's really interesting to see how the culture moves the industry because the NorCal just doesn't necessarily have that much population to create that kind of revenue that Southern California does.
We got the ganja, but the papers
So yeah,
coming from the city.
so I think that historically NorCal kind of has its roots in the quality, but most of the time Southern California is going to be the one that kind of sets the pace from a commerce perspective, if that makes any sense.
It does.
I agree.
It's been that way for a while, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of the city people trying to like influence what the market's going to be.
Like we
the
have a
growers gonna
reputation.
grow.
Like
Yeah.
everybody knows that like you want weed from up north,
Mm-hmm.
but it moves so much better
At the
in
same,
LA because there's so many more people and you can actually push a brand and you can
Mhm.
get that reputation and just that the brand consistency and the brand flow
Just a lot of eyes
is
seeing.
so
and
much
a lot
bigger
of,
than
a
what
lot
we
of
can
word
do
of
up
mouth
here.
that like, oh, hey, try this. Look at
Totally.
this.
They have a lot of events. We have events,
Mhm.
but nothing like what LA has. They just do more.
I just wish that they could understand the product value a little better.
Interesting
Look.
thing, and they are a bit out of touch
Mhm.
Yeah.
with when it comes to the history, when it comes to 215, when it comes to like helicopters swooping in on
The whole
farm stuff. Like,
Mhm.
How it
they
got
don't
here
really, I
today.
don't feel like
Yeah.
they don't really have an understanding of the historical
A respect level.
The other, honestly, it's
Mhm.
like a respect thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that they do have a huge influence on what survives, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
But I think we also have this
And I
type
don't
of.
hate them for that either.
Yeah,
You know,
of course
We need
not.
them.
How it is.
Yeah,
We
they're
do need
the
them.
movers of the market right
Yeah.
now. We need the cities to do their business, and we need the farmers to keep growing weed. So, but I think indoor cultivation wise, we have really good indoor cultivation here as well, just like our sun grown. But there's other cultivations out there that don't grow as good. It's called Asian work, that in the industry a lot of people call it, and it doesn't smoke very well. And
Do you know why it's called Asian work?
I think it's because there's Asians that are the farmers,
Okay.
and they put stuff in it that doesn't help the smoke. It smells good, looks pretty, but it just doesn't smoke like your typical good.
Well, I think
Product.
that's the type of product that's meant to be produced quickly with very little
But-
cost associated. You know what I mean?
My point is, you can't price our product at the same price as that.
No, but that's where visuals come in.
And it does, but their visual of their product is nice.
That's why.
It's purple. They're
again-
checking all the marks, but when you smoke it, it's not doing its job. It's not real medicine.
Totally.
And when you have people from down south judging the flower based on what it looks like and smells like and asking for the same price, it's messed up. And I don't
Well,
I don't
the
think that-
farmers definitely feel it.
Yeah.
It's
Kind of an education piece too, right?
Mm.
Like, I think as far as marketing weed, there
Mhm.
is a huge education piece that the consumer doesn't necessarily know about,
Mhm.
and I don't know if they even care about it.
Mhm.
I do know that when weed is well cured and
Mhm.
actually has been kept in good temperatures for a
Mhm.
while.
and give it the time.
Yeah,
it needs time to cure.
What's that chemical that kind of makes it harsh on your throat?
The
that
chlorophyll?
The chlorophyll.
Mhm.
Something happens with the chlorophyll when you give the weed more time to cure.
Mhm.
And I know that the industry doesn't necessarily have the patience for that
Mhm.
because it's all about pumping out volume and consumption.
And also shelf life. Your
Yeah.
shelf life only lasts so long.
We don't know if the consumer even cares about chlorophyll and how it does react to your throat and how it
Mhm.
does.
Most probably
how it does
don't
impact the
know
experience.
that's what that is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
It
also
comes
like
back to education.
an undereducated
Yeah.
consumer.
And then you have the buyer who's what's the harvest date? How old is it? They don't want old weed. But
Mhm.
sometimes when the weed is older, it still has good color, still has good nose.
Yep.
Actually, the highs could be better.
It's different.
Yeah.
The experience profile could be completely different.
That
you know?
also depends on how it's grown, though. Put in it because there's some indoor flower that turns very fast, and I
Yeah.
think it's
I think
due
it's
to what
The
chemical
chemicals.
or
Mhm.
nutrient
Well,
they're putting in.
I also would attribute that to how they cure. They
Mm.
cure so quickly
Mhm.
for how they're pulling rooms and curing it and crossing over to trim within
Well,
10 days.
You can grow
Yeah.
the best weed in the world if you don't cure
If you're not
right.
curing it, it's going to
Yep.
be
It's going to
shit.
be harsh and
Yep.
Yeah.
not taste
And
as good.
let's admit it, when you're a consumer and you're in that space and you're trying to make decisions on what you're putting in your body, all this knowledge, all this science, it could be exhausting.
Mhm.
For
And
sure.
we don't
Mhm.
really know yet because we haven't really given the consumer the opportunity to educate themselves on this
Mhm.
kind of stuff. It's a very interesting topic to talk about from a consumer perspective because all these things are very important when you're
Mhm.
deciding what you want to smoke.
Mhm.
And I just think that's very valuable information to even give the consumer the opportunity to know
Yep.
to help them make the decision when they're in a dispensary.
Yep.
Mhm.
Agreed. Back to Hall of Flowers, you just stated that LA is more of the market and the movers there. What else did you see that was a little different?
I mean, literally, it's a frontier industry. People come and go. We're still learning. Aaron has a good perspective on this too. Honestly, the venture capitalists have all did it.
Mm.
They realize that being a frontier industry, there's still a lot to learn, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
systems to be put in place, and we're still like
But
kind of
changes.
navigating how to make this obviously make money,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also the interesting thing about weed is that there's still a black market
Yep.
that is having a huge influence on what the above board market is how the above board market is operating.
Yep.
And these
Mhm.
VCs, I think, and by VC and venture capitalists, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about when I say VC. And they are everybody who realized that it's really interesting, like competing with something that you have zero control over.
Mhm.
Once they realized that, they did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're like, we don't want to invest.
There's
any
too
more
much
money
gray
into this.
area.
So basically, everybody that's left are the people that have maintained their relationships,
Mhm.
have maintained their trust, and and their reputation in the industry.
Oh, gee.
And that's honestly the people that you can rely on. The people don't have outstanding invoices,
Mhm.
and that's a big part in frontier industries as well. Building trust, building reputation, and
For sure.
yeah, and I think that in what I'm drawing it back to Hall of Flowers.
Mhm.
There's literally people coming in, and there's literally people leaving. Last year, half the farmers grew weed, so there's
Mhm.
supply chain issues right now in the market for inputs and even full flowers.
Yeah,
so
full
that's
term.
obviously going to influence the price.
Mhm.
But I don't think it's going to be nearly as bad as it was during COVID. But it's still like something that's present in the industry right now,
Mhm.
and that's why new players are coming and going.
Nice.
And basically, my point is that every Hall of Flowers, new people, and
Mhm.
and I don't know if they're still operating, but they usually don't come back
Mhm.
the following year. I've been to
Mhm.
4 Hall of Flowers out of I don't know how long it's been operating, but
I went to Hall of Flowers in Santa Rosa 4 years ago. Gary Vee showed up. They had a lot of good speakers. Did they have any speakers at Hall of Flowers this
I don't
year?
know, I was too busy in my booth.
Yeah.
But there were more famous people this year, obviously being in LA.
I say the
Mhm.
Venice Beach,
Yeah, it
You
was
know.
in Ventura.
Ventura.
It was in Ventura. Like Chris Brown was there,
Mm.
and he was
Oh.
walking
Interesting.
around, and I saw him, and I recognized that. I was like, "Oh, that looks like Chris Brown." But in my head, I made up the joke that maybe it's a guy who just looks like Chris Brown. Everybody's convinced it is Chris Brown.
Mhm.
A lot of the famous people now want their own brands. They want to be
Oh, yeah.
this next level bougie.
Yeah. My story of Hall of Flowers when I was in Santa Rosa is actually pretty cool. The CEO of Kanikura and I were at the seminar with Gary Vee, and he asked everyone, we do Q&A, you get one question. And so everyone's asking all these questions, and I raised my hand. I spoke to Gary Vee, and the one question I asked him was to follow our Instagram page, and everyone went nuts. And he took his phone out. Boom. right there, jumped on the Instagram, followed us, and algorithms work and all that stuff. So it helped with our sales.
Cauliflowers that was?
It was about 5 years ago
So it was maybe
in
the
Santa
first
Rosa.
one.
Yeah, I think it was the first one.
Okay.
Tickets were outrageous. It was like $600. Yeah, no disrespect to Hall of Flowers, but it just felt like they were stepping on the Emerald Cup when they're coming into our territory, and they're from down south. They do a great event. It's a little different. It's less of a party, I feel like.
It's definitely more business.
Yeah, more
It's
business.
definitely
Yeah.
more B2B facing, where Emerald Cup is more consumer facing.
Mm.
Where
For sure.
where brands and farms can actually have a platform to get attention for the quality that they and love that they put into the product.
Agreed. Yeah. What do you think about Spanibus? I know that's going on this week.
I haven't been to Spanibus, but I've checked in with people that have been there, and the overall decision from everybody that I know that's been there is that it's quote unquote weird.
Mm.
I think it's going to be so much different than anything we're doing here because overseas regulations are different. Everything's different. Cannabis, it's the same, but so different in other countries. Because I know I have a couple friends who've attended Spanibus
Yeah.
a couple years in a row, and it's just like,
How
It's
many years have they
different.
been doing Spanibus?
that I don't know.
I think 3 years.
3?
Yeah, it's fairly new. My thoughts on Spanibus, and that is stop sharing our genetics with other people. Like, keep it here, and keep everything here. People will come to us. Why are we giving away secrets? Why are we giving away all this, like the nuggets? Like, we don't need to do that. We have the gold. We have it here. Like, why are we sharing it so much with the world? They can just come here and spend their monies here. And
But isn't also the gold the climate that we're in, right? The Emerald Triangle's climate.
yeah, I mean, yeah, growing wise, yeah, for sure. And they might have a similar climate, but why don't they figure it out on their own? Why are we sharing so much with them? They're going to take over our market. It's already happening with other states that are becoming legal, and it's ruining our market. So,
I think
That's-
that's a couple
I
issues.
think that might be on the farmer.
I was
though.
like,
yeah,
that might be on the farmer,
yeah.
or maybe there's somebody.
I think it
like,
comes
on,
to
maybe there's
money.
Somebody on payroll and they're taking a cut off the mother. You never know.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very complex.
And when you're selling seeds or selling genetics, that's the sale.
Yeah.
After that, they're not coming back unless they fuck it up.
Yeah.
But,
It's
I don't know,
a
that's my
one-time
rant.
purchase.
Keep it here. Keep it local.
Keep it in the triangle.
But I think
Yeah.
I think Hall of Flowers is a very valuable thing for people in the legal space to attend to understand.
I think it's a great
Mhm.
space for
just to
brands.
understand what's out there. My girlfriend works for a retailer, and I guess I forget if it's Jeter or Jetty, but one of them is
Jetty.
Is it Jetty?
Jetty.
There's
Mhm.
Jeters too.
One
They're
of
starting to
Jeters.
use food grade terps to influence
Oh,
the
man.
flavor profile of flour, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I do think that there is a reason why people are doing this.
Mhm.
Sounds like a Jetery thing
There's-
because they're
Yeah.
Clearly there's
fruity
there's
joints.
there's a want for it. There's a demand
You know?
for
Yeah.
it. So
Mhm.
like, and I don't know if it's the right or wrong thing to do in the cannabis space to use food grade terps like strawberry watermelon.
It's just very
Mhm.
artificial,
Very.
which some people do like that though.
Some people do like that.
Yeah.
it's the
like-
younger consumers.
Well, if you're
love
gonna-
that
That's what
fruity
it
If you're
taste.
gonna use normal cannabis terpenes, it's just not. It's not gonna be cost efficient. So you.
These food grade terps can influence the experience profile because
Mhm.
you need the full entourage to
Yep.
actually get high. And every terpene and cannabinoid, minor cannabinoid, like you need those entourages to have those experiences. Like headband makes you feel like you're wearing a headband because of the terpenes.
Yep.
You know?
Mhm.
Yep.
And that's just an example of what that specific experience profile has. But
Was that a big talk there?
no, I feel like the food grade terp mixed with weed is like this. Nobody wants to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Mm.
interesting. Nobody at those booths, at least that I saw, was like, "Oh, these have food grade terps."
Yeah.
Because there's like a weird ickiness to it. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're trying to keep that quiet a little
not
bit.
as
there is
organic.
there is a demand for it.
Yeah.
When Jeter first started with the super fruity flavor,
Are they the ones doing it?
Yeah.
The-
I know
the little
that-
joints.
they've got those little joints.
Yeah.
They're like-
that it's like a jar of them, and they're like intense mango, and it's
Yeah.
just like an
It's
intense,
very like artificial mango.
super artificial smell. I've not smoked Jeters, but
This is distillate, or is this the flower?
This is
I-
the
It's
flower
It's the little
pre-rolls.
joints, the little Jeters,
It
the
comes with
baby
this little
Jeters.
keef on the outside,
Yep.
right?
yeah, they're
Like
like,
little-
but they're just so like when you open a jar, they
They're-
smell
they're just
exactly like
Sprayed
that.
with
It's
blueberry
just-
Yeah.
fruit terps.
And I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not necessarily for me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I think it might be an old head perspective. We are old people that have been in the industry.
We're old. He's saying we're old.
I started
the
growing
natural-
weed when I was 15, so I have a different
Yeah.
I have a different relationship with weed.
Yeah, you're growing it for medicine, not this taste, flavor,
I want to taste
addiction.
the weed.
Well, it's more
Yeah,
about what the
same
high
here.
is.
Yeah, that's the medicine part.
What the
Yeah.
fuck? It's not the taste. The taste is wonderful, don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. But it's about what it makes you feel like.
Yeah,
Oh,
and now we
absolutely.
can bring that back to indica and sativa, though. You know, where it's like, where'd that go? Just like trying to vanish the
It's all
whole.
hybrid.
Yeah, it's like sativa was used as the medicine. I want to work. I want to work out. I want to do something.
Just be
I want to.
active.
I want to wake and bake in the morning. I'm smoking sativa. You know what I mean? Indica. I'm chilling. I'm at home. It's end of the night. I'm gonna drink a
Nighttime.
glass of wine and I'm gonna have a little bit of indica and I'm gonna sleep great.
Yeah.
It's none of that now.
And
It's
that's
just
why
hybrid.
Weed is special because it's very personal to everybody.
Mhm.
That's your experience with weed.
Mm-hmm.
I've smoked so many different strains, sativa, indica.
Mm.
It all makes me a couch.
Mm.
And that's why
Oh, interesting.
my weed ritual is just always at night before bed.
Mm.
Yeah.
I can't smoke during the day because I have to get things done, but I literally
I'm gonna get you some real sativa.
Maybe I haven't been exposed to the right
I
stuff.
think
but
so.
I've
Yeah.
tried a
Mhm.
lot.
I think that's
It's
what it
always
is.
just made me fucking get put down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so that's why my ritual is just like always smoking before bed.
Mm.
And that's why it's
Well-
going to be interesting to see what these food grade terps do because a terp is a terp, right?
Yep.
There's cannabis derived terps, there's food grade terps.
Mhm.
And those are going to have an influence on how you experience it. I'm assuming.
But
I'm
are
not
they
a scientist.
are they good for your lungs though?
That's
Is
what I was
that,
gonna say. I
I
said
don't know.
obviously
Yeah.
they've
Does-
been.
Yeah.
do people know that?
But
Like,
I mean,
is-
people are already smoking it in the regular vape, the tobacco vapes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's
but
what they're
those are
using. They're
also
using fruit.
terrible
terps.
for you.
They are. Yeah.
So-
There's that too.
Just saying.
There's a lot of question marks again.
Yeah.
Frontier industry.
It's very new.
We don't know.
Everything's
Yeah,
so
it's what the
new.
consumer wants.
They
It's
want,
yeah.
You know, Jeter's. Is it Jeter?
Yeah,
Jeter's the
I
one
think
that
it is
I've
Jeter.
only
Yeah.
known to have that super fruity
Yeah, the baby
joint.
Jeters.
The baby Jeters.
Yeah.
That's what they're
I
called.
don't. It's not for me, but there's a demand for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, huge
So
demand.
That's why they're doing it. They're only doing it because people want it.
When
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
first hit the shelves, that was like the thing. Everybody
I
was
know,
talking
I
about
saw
baby
that,
Jeters, and I'm like, oh, we smoke outdoor up here. We smoke real weed here.
Hey, honestly,
Really?
like,
Facts.
If we're being real,
Sure.
if we're being real culturally, there's obviously like the north and the south of California,
Mhm.
and everyone's we got the best weed, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it sounds like a Southern California thing to me.
Yeah, definitely.
It doesn't
Totally.
sound like I can't imagine somebody in Northern California, or
Yeah,
at least
I was
the
gonna
vast
say.
majority of people being like, I want weed that
You
tastes of
won't
strawberry.
Well,
find
I
a
also-
NorCal farmer won't be smoking on a Jeter.
No,
Mhm.
I think it's
No.
also something
Hell
that's
no.
geared
So
towards
that
the
kinda
younger
shows you like where
demographic.
perspective is on a farmer, and they're like, "Yo, I'm not going to be."
But the farmer up here
Is removed from that
is
whole
creating
scenario.
the real medicine, though.
Exactly. That's
You know
why
what I
he
mean?
knows what's what. He knows what
100%.
the knowledge is important.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
That's that divide that NorCal, SoCal should have been two states situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Like,
Ian, you made a good point. We do need to work together because they are the movers and shakers of the industry.
You know-
Just like they influence art and culture. Southern
Yep.
California has a huge influence of that.
Mhm.
Like it's LA, New York, fashion, art.
Yep.
music.
they can make a
Yep.
bigger movement than
You
we
know.
could
For sure.
time wise. They could
Yeah.
also do it quickly, where we would just it'd take longer.
Yeah,
here.
a lot more people.
They have a lot more people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are setting the pace culturally
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to, I think, the creative, like the artistic side of weed, which is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's
like, there's
become
an
a
artistic
thing,
side
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
of it.
I could see that.
The
Aesthetically,
boutique vibe.
Well,
Yeah.
that's comes to where like people on their packaging, people get so fucking crazy
Yeah.
regarding what they want their packaging to look like, and it's you're putting half-ass weed in some super expensive packaging,
Mm-hmm.
and
Because
your
that's what
but
get
your
people to
target
buy
is
it,
this like
'cause it
little
looks so good on the
tiny-
shelf. Ooh, that must be good.
Yeah, and people buy it. It's the younger demographic for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm 40, and I do care about how things look on the shelf, but I also come
course.
from like the retail. Like,
I was
used
like,
to
that's
work in the
your
retail side of
jobs
things.
influence in your
I
life.
do care about sometimes, like when you buy when I bought my first iPhone, it was in a crazy box,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my god, this is wild.
Mm-hmm.
And now those are high quality boxes. I
Yeah,
don't use them. You know, I'm a recycle guy, but
Yeah.
I do think that the packaging does and the art
Mhm.
For
does
sure.
have an influence on people's decision.
Yep.
Of course.
It's
Agreed.
like you want to be involved.
But the most important thing is in the bag. You know
Yeah.
what I
How is
mean?
the high?
But you also
Yeah.
have, like, I'm not a farmer. I don't.
Yeah.
That's not part of my identity.
Yeah.
So, but you have a different attachment to it as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you care more about.
That's what I
the
do
weed.
for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But as I'm also a weed consumer, I do like people want to be involved in something special,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I do think that the art on the packaging has an influence elements in that as well.
100%.
Agreed.
It's like all
And
like,
it's like
the
wrapped.
the craft beers, like
Yep.
all the different cans
Exactly.
now. It's like it's artwork on the cans.
Mhm.
Ooh, that must
What
be
sticks
good
out.
because exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of.
I think you keep that in mind while you packaging's its whole thing, but like you always
Mhm.
keep that in mind. Like you want it to be catchy, or you
Yeah.
just want it to be the most basic, so you can keep your costs down
Mm-hmm.
and provide somebody with that value.
But if it's basic and pure, don't you think it'll sell the same
Yeah.
as some kind of artsy this shit
I mean,
that's
I think
not that
so.
good?
Yeah.
I think so
I don't
because
know.
I've bought the artsy bag when I was
Same.
doing the what's catchy in retail stores, looking when
But-
I was really
but did
doing
you go
brand
back to it?
development. Hell no. It's like
See?
you buy it, you open it,
It's
you're
like
like,
a one-time
this
purchase.
is shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're
Mhm.
mad because you're like, this was
I paid all this money for this really
cool bag.
cool bag.
You
but-
know what
But
I
if we're-
mean?
If
Inside
we're being
trash.
real, there isn't really as much brand loyalty in the cannabis space right now, and that's honestly because of the turnover of the brands.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron.
I would say the brand turnover is huge there.
It's like every
Especially
month
in the
there's a new brand,
past-
you
Yeah.
know?
In the past 2 years, the market's been weird.
all over. the
We've
place.
lost some like brands you never thought you know, like people have
Mhm.
fallen off where you're
Mhm.
like, look at all these new brands.
That comes back
What'd
to
you
the
say?
VCs.
Gelato. You said that earlier, and I was like,
Mhm.
the brand. I was like, I haven't thought
Mhm.
about
They have
that.
retail
And
stores now too, though.
they do. And I saw them when I was in Palm Springs, and I was trying to get just a vape because I was going to a show, and I was
Mhm.
like, huh, this is weird. I'll buy one because it was super catchy packaging,
Mhm.
and it was like a throwaway, like a
Mhm.
disposable. So I was like,
Yeah.
we'll try it.
Roll
Let's-
the, roll the dice
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
Are they?
They are.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
I think
I've
they're
never
licensed
checked them
in
out.
Santa Rosa.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Hmm.
But I just that's the only reason I like put those together is because I'm like I've purchased that. Wasn't
Mhm.
mad at it, but it was super catchy packaging. Where I was like,
Mhm.
it's super bright and loud.
How was the product?
Product was great. It was perfect for what I needed. I was in Palm Springs for
NorCal.
2 days.
NorCal vibe.
Nice.
And I was like, I just need something
Convenient. Yeah.
convenient.
Mhm.
And that was exactly what I got.
That's how I shop wine and beer also. I see where it came from, where it brewed,
Mm.
where the grapes
That's
were
important to
grown.
me.
Yeah.
So now I'm packaging if I am down south and I don't have my own stuff with me, I will go in a dispensary and I'll make sure it's from the Emerald Triangle, the North.
I usually go in and I talk to I want to go in and talk to somebody and talk about what's your favorite thing. 'Cause
That's usually
I
what
usually
that's
go to
usually
the
what I
bud
ask, too.
tender
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm not from here. If it's a
Mhm.
new store to me, and I'm like,
Mhm.
work in the space, but what's your favorite thing?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Show
Yeah.
me out of what I'm looking for, your favorite product,
Yeah.
and why is it your favorite? Because if it's your favorite because it's fruity, I'm gonna probably ask you for a different, like a different
Yeah,
product.
yeah.
You know what I
I've
mean?
got the answer before.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people are going in dispensaries and wanting the flavor.
and then usually if you
or
say like
heist, now we know we can't
Heist.
really
your
go,
favorite,
but we can't
Get
go
off
on
of
that
that.
because
Okay, I actually have an interesting data point right now to share with everybody.
please.
Break
In
it.
my booth, everybody that showed up to my booth, I'm with Leef, and we both do bulk manufacturing of concentrates. So every form
Mhm.
factor, distillate, hydrocarbon, ethanol. And for anybody that doesn't know, it's basically your sauces, your THCA. We pretty much make everything but shatter and crumble.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody's really dabbing shatter and crumble anyways. And,
Yeah,
and
I know.
most labs don't necessarily have the core competency to even make that form factor, and it's not really popular right now, so people
Mhm.
don't have the setup to do it. But
Mhm.
anyways, we have an amazing solventless line. Shout out to Zach.
Hey,
For solventless.
Hey.
Hell yeah.
Leaf.
let's
Hell
go. Yeah.
Everybody was wanting solventless.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was interested
Wow.
in it.
Because it's pure.
mm-hmm.
And it
It's
was
pure.
like, it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have the highest THC.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So people, at least people that were approaching me were like, what's your solventless? Let me see your solventless. You know,
Wow.
open the jar, put your nose
That
in
was the
it.
first question they asked.
Where's your solventless?
Mhm.
Nice.
And I was like, here it is.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it was very interesting to me because solventless isn't necessarily a THC-driven form factor, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're going to get, depending on your heat, right?
Mm-hmm.
The lower the heat,
The lower
more
the heat.
terpene, the more
Mhm.
flavor, the higher heat, the more
Mhm.
experience profile you're going to get.
Correct.
But and for whatever reason, everybody was wanting that, and I think that's
Hmm.
a very interesting data point for my personal experience at Hall of Flowers.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it was actually honestly refreshing.
yeah,
Nice.
that's
Like,
awesome.
It's different.
Because it's
Yeah.
pure
Well,
and
there-
it's also, like you said, solventless, right?
Mhm.
So it's clean as could be. And it
Clean.
also tastes good.
Tastes good.
Because if you keep
Well-
it cool the whole time,
Oh, well,
it
and that
turns out
shows
great.
like the demographics shifting.
It's
Like people are
The
shifting
the
more.
consumer's getting educated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Mhm.
consumers are
They're
more
slowly
conscious
getting-
about. I would like something solventless, something.
Mhm.
and not artificial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I
Mhm.
think that's once we can get that shift, everybody thinking that
Get the
way,
ball
Yeah.
rolling. Yeah.
then
The other thing that I also want to talk about. Sorry, I got to check the time. I'm
Yeah,
having so
no
much
worries.
fun actually.
Yeah.
Everybody that I checked in was saying that we are pivoting to solventless because the black market is influencing.
Oh,
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Let's go.
More black
Let's
market
go.
consumers, which is obviously the younger crowd.
Wow.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I don't, correct me if I'm wrong. Whatever
Yeah.
everybody else's experience is.
Yeah.
It's a younger crowd, obviously. Like most of them, I think, and I don't know if this is right, but I think that most people that go to a cannabis club are between 40 and 55.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know. I wish there was a way you can interact with people that are
Right.
watching, so you could.
I would say probably that demographic.
I would say there's there and then there's a young.
21.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Right when it's just
But
like when you turn 21 to
girls
drink
also
alcohol.
have a lot of. They have a guy who they can go to their house and get weed
Exactly,
from,
and
right?
probably for cheaper.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
These days,
because
I don't think so. When we were 21, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's where you're at.
I don't
So I
know.
worked at a store in where the hell was I? San Jose. I worked for the parent company for a long time.
You can pack that. dude.
And in one of their stores, one of the
Okay.
Cleva stores, just seeing the people that come in and out and like just as people go throughout the day, it's definitely a young demographic. You're in a college town, it's close. So I think the bigger the towns, the less homie that you've got that's got a bag for you. I think
But
it's like when you're in a college town, you're going to a store because it's right down the street from your dorms.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
I don't
And so
know.
it's like
All depends on who.
for us, for sure. Up here, it's different. But
like
I
this
think
one
the
better.
further south you go,
Well,
the more
that's
you're
not
seeing
flour.
Oh.
younger people in stores.
That's why.
And then you see the older side that are there for their
Good
true,
thing I
like,
know that.
their
That
salves
could, just be like
and,
that could just be a Sonoma County thing too.
I think it's more so up here because I see so many kids in the store. I call them kids because I'm old, but
You're only 30 something in college.
But I
okay,
would- They were
okay.
coming in. I was curious. I'm in sales, so I'm curious. I'm always asking questions. I'm always trying to
Pick their brain, like what's their
problems
angle?
I can solve. Like, why are these black market consumers going to solventless? And
Mhm.
I asked. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I was like, why do you think? Why do you think the black market consumer is
Mhm.
going towards solventless? It's shifting, right?
I think it might be cheaper too to
And I
write to
think
make
I think
solventless.
it's an equipment thing too.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Takes less
all you
equipment.
need is
Mhm.
pressure and a little bit of heat.
2 hot plates,
And I
it
think
needs to
that
come out.
might be a thing too. Like,
and it's clean, so it's
Yeah.
like it's a
you
win.
don't have to worry about too much BHO.
I think
tearing off or
some of
anything.
these companies are trying to just go too hard, go too big, and it's like the
Just mass-
cost of
mass
all
produce
mass
a lot of
producing, and
things.
then the
And
cost,
a lot of the companies started when the market was high.
yeah, and a lot
So-
of the costs for really labor intensive processes, the costs are going to be through the roof. You know what I mean? Then trying to
Yeah.
break that down into your cogs and get your labor for your each unit type thing. It's just it's not cost efficient at this where we are in the world right now.
It was refreshing for me. To be
Good.
in the mood
I-
to hear
I love
that's
hearing
what
that.
people wanted.
I love hearing that.
Because I
That's
I
cool.
only smoke full flower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's only what I do,
Yep.
and I don't necessarily have the tolerance to dab, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
or want
It's-
to invest in the equipment that is involved
I
with
could
feel
it.
put
like
you
it's
down.
too difficult. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to
I
get
feel
high.
like
You know.
the
It's-
dab
it's-
situation is super cracky to me, and I can't get behind it.
They're getting away from that though. They
Okay.
have like electric nails where it's like everything's set, it's easy, it's not quite as light in the.
The torch, like
torch
that
and
to me,
everything.
it's lost me at the torch.
It depends on the setup, but
Puffco's got some sweet setups.
They got some sweet
They've
shit
got
out
the
there.
Sherlock that's tight.
oh, I
I
bet.
want that
Puffco had
shit.
a booth across the way from us, and nobody was going up to them.
No, it's so expensive. Their products are fucking outrageous, but they're great products. So
I
it's
just
kind of
felt,
like
I felt bad for any company that either had a packaging booth or like a technology.
that's not the
booth.
space for them, and that's too bad because the space for them is MJ BizCon. MJ
Yeah.
BizCon is
Mhm.
where you want to see packaging equipment, packaging. Because like when I go to MJ,
Batteries,
you want to
Yeah.
go there for. I did all the purchasing and procurement, so I would go to MJ BizCon to talk to my vendors. What's new? What's coming out?
Tax.
What's going on? You know what I mean? And it's just you don't. I don't think Hall of Flowers, Emerald Cup. That's any platform for. Sorry,
That's our second guest, by the way,
for what?
Mary Jane.
Oh, this one? Yeah. Yeah, you lied to me all day. Don't even start with me.
I'm just saying. I said it was a female, and you knew her for a long time.
I've done her for very long.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think MJ Biz is the show for all that crap. It's not. That's so consumer based and like brand to brand.
I know in Spanibus somebody won some award about having the best cartridge. Like
I would say you're
It's
behaving.
probably like it was a live resin, probably, right?
no, like it wasn't even
live
talking
resin?
about the live resin. It was talking about they won an award for the hardware. Yeah, I'm like what? Like
For where? From what?
in Spanibus.
See,
yeah,
I think
like-
it's like they're
Why-
taking that and combining it with the cup with what we do as the cup, what we do with MJ Biz. Like,
They're getting away
they're
from
just
weed.
getting
But
it
they're
all.
also, again, they're getting away from what the actual product is and what it does for you.
And I think it's
Yeah.
so new there too.
It's
It's
like,
like,
oh, but it looks pretty and it does. It's
Mhm.
got a cool little. It's no, it should be back to the root.
Yeah.
What it actually does for you. What
Agreed.
it's doing for you.
Definitely.
okay, I don't know
Yeah.
anything about like the cannabis scene and like the Amsterdam side of the life either. So
Sam,
like,
we should make a one harvest trip out there.
I love it. Sign me
That'd
up. But like
go.
Amsterdam's super influential as well. So are they going there for seeds? What's that connection? And like,
Yeah,
how
I mean,
is it
Nate
so
kind of
different?
stepped on that too a little bit, stating that he's gotten seeds in different areas. Of the
Yeah,
world,
that's
which is
what I
cool.
was thinking about.
Yeah.
And he's traveling to go share the like knowledge wealth. So
Yeah.
I don't think we want to gatekeep. Essentially, I don't believe in gatekeeping because I think there's so much value in this herb and this like plant medicine that
Mhm.
it would be very selfish for us to gatekeep everything. But I think yes, true, some of our genetics that are
Yeah, I
like,
think cats out
oh.
we really can't hold back.
Yeah.
and I think if anything,
It's-
it'd be better to educate them and bring them up to speed on the real way to do
I just
things.
think the value of outdoor flower would still be high if all this never was released.
I think if we never went hard with indoors, the value would still be high. And like
True.
now everybody only wants indoor based off of how it looks in a jar. And like,
sometimes though, but I think the consumers are like pivoting.
I think we're going back.
realizing.
We're shifting.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed is that a lot of people, a lot of brands were wanting, and I don't know if this is a packaging thing.
Mhm.
Check in
Yeah.
if you want, but they were like, we want to do specific brands for at least 1 year, or not brands, specific strains.
Strains.
See, strains piss
Specific
me off.
strains.
Mhm.
I hate strains like
Why?
that because
Oh,
to do packaging strain specific, that packaging can only be for that strain. And if laws change, which we know California likes to pop shit on us, so it's like
Yeah.
your packaging changes. You're gonna need to throw another sticker on that
But I
if
think
they
that's
change
something
this.
they're not. I don't think they're trying to be influenced by what's in vogue.
No.
They're trying to just have one strain, 2 to 3 strains.
And then that's also having a really quality, if you're doing indoor, like having a quality farmer that can grow the consistent, the same
yes.
thing for a year
Yep.
consistency is
is
big.
unheard of.
And
Mhm.
the farmer's selling futures at that point.
You know what I mean? So it's
Exactly.
hard,
Return customers, absolutely.
which is, yes, I
That's
do
what we
love.
strive for, honestly.
Yeah, oh,
That's
100%.
That's why it's quality first, always.
But it's
'Cause
like with
feedback has always been
packaging, when they
amazing.
want a strain specific and they want that on the packaging, because I get a lot of that, and I'm
Mhm.
always battling with my marketing sales team on that, whichever company I'm at, because it's like that. What that does to your packaging inventory is it fucks it all up.
Mhm.
So say I buy 100,000 bags, knowing that of these 3 strains, right?
Mhm.
So 300K total, each individualized. So it's say they can't make that, but they can make these 2. One of them's not going to work. It's just there's something wrong with the genetics. It's just
Right.
it's not working.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting on those bags. I'm carrying that value month
And
to
the
month.
product's getting worse.
And the product's
worse.
just not available. So
Yeah.
now I'm sitting on 100,000 bags. I'm almost
Oh,
out of
there's weed
200,000.
not even in the bag, dude?
No. Like,
Shit,
so I've dealt with a lot of like packaging where it's okay, we are projecting to package this much, buy the bags. I buy the bags. Oh, there's something wrong with the cure. There's something wrong with something happened in the dry harvest time frame, and it's shit. We're getting a third of what we thought. So now I'm carrying my inventory to the next month, my packaging.
Yep.
Which is just that shit adds up. You
Yeah.
don't want to sit on that much packaging if it's not moving. You're taking pallet space you're paying for. There's a lot of costs associated with purchasing and holding packaging inventory.
Mhm.
Like, yes, a
Yikes.
bag is cheap, but 100,000 of them is not.
Yeah.
So it's like when you want to look at that, I hate strain. I'm always like, throw a sticker.
Mhm.
Differentiate by a sticker that you're calling like this is fruity. So
And then
it's
you'll
gonna
see
be,
those bags on the black market.
It's like
Just saying, they're out
exactly.
there. Yeah.
So it's just like I am a bittersweet.
How's this Arizona packaging in California?
I see what
You know what I
see
mean?
what you're saying from like a COGS perspective.
For me, doing costing, that's
Yeah.
solely what I'm looking at because
But
that's where I
it's
go
an interesting
to.
conversation because our heady boys, Calvin does our hydrocarbon and Zach
Sick.
does our solvent.
Rad.
medicine.
Right on.
I hung out with them the whole time. They're sweethearts.
Fuck yeah.
I absolutely adore my team.
Hey, respect.
Oh, yeah.
But we
That's
have,
great.
We have
Yeah.
tier systems like 1 through 3. Tier 1 is obviously going to be the fire,
hmm
and our tier 1 is only ever going to be small farmer.
That's
Oh.
wonderful.
Ever going to be small
Nice.
farmer.
That's
and
amazing.
And
Like that.
Zach and Calvin are the ones that decided this, and they know. And Kyle, chime
Yeah.
in whenever you want. Like
Yeah.
the smaller your farm, the more attention you can give it.
Yeah.
the more you can manage things.
Yep.
The
And
quality's
so
better.
The quality's better
Every time because you
It's
can.
just, if you
you're
like,
more
I don't know how
hands-on.
many- I don't know how many hoops you have or
Mhm.
whatever, but if you're the smaller your farm, the better your weed's gonna be.
Mhm.
That's just how it is. The
Mhm.
bigger your farm is, the less you can manage the expectations.
I agree
the
with
less
you.
You can water. There's so many different variables, Kyle.
Yeah.
100%. You're
that
more.
you
You're just more
control,
hands-on. You're
you
more
know?
eyes on. You're seeing
Mhm.
everything. You're
More
actually-
love.
Your intention. You're
Yep.
walking around each
So-
plant, picking the leaves,
So
whatever.
at least for us at Leaf, Calvin and Zach, like if it's a small farm, they know immediately it's going to be tier 1.
Nice.
That's dope.
That's really great.
That's
Great for
super
you
cool.
guys on like
Yeah.
the back end
And
costing
tier
side.
3, like obviously we want market.
Mhm.
Our tier 3 has a place in the market, and so that's going to be bigger farms.
Mhm.
Now, is that mostly light depth, or is that outdoor?
It depends.
It's
Like
always
our
depends.
hydrocarbon line is always going to be like indoor.
Okay.
Usually, solventless is always going to be. I don't know if it's light depth or.
Okay.
But I know that
Just
if
curious.
If it's a smaller light depth, they're
Mhm.
going to want it to be tier 1.
Mhm.
You know, at least that's how we manage our expectations.
You guys want to? You guys don't separate like full outdoor with
There's a
like
price
depths.
difference.
Okay,
There's a
yeah,
price difference.
There's
I
got. I was like,
can't
there's
speak-
gotta be.
I can't speak
Yeah.
on the quality though.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's not really.
Yeah.
my thing. But
Yeah.
anyways, I got to get out of here, guys.
Thank you for tuning in. Hey, this is the One Harvest podcast.
Dude,
You know,
said
go.
getting
This is
over
a big
here.
surprise.
Yeah. I'm so glad you did,
Here
bro.
we go.
This
That
is
was
amazing.
fun.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That was fun. I usually
First smoke.
more on the back end, like on the
He's
computer.
our sound
Yep.
guy. He does
He's a
make
sound
sure
guy.
we all work.
He's
well.
our guy.
It's like,
He's
Ian,
ours.
get in
Yeah.
here, man.
But yeah, I'll
Yeah.
do this more.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Can't wait. Peace.
See you. Cool.
That was